Hey guys, this is Fight Mike here, back with another video. Today we're just going to be going through the UFC 316 full card breakdown and predictions, starting off with Quillan Salkill versus Yanal Ashmouz. This should be a good fight. I'm not a massive fan when the UFC put these two types of prospects who are really good-looking fighters up against each other this early in their UFC careers. I would prefer both of them get some like bummy guy that they're almost getting out of the UFC. But this is decent. You'll get to see where both of them are at and if both of them are like that sort of good prospect level. Um, Quillan Salkild is a really good prospect coming from Australia. His only losses was in his first fight ever, and almost all of his fights are finished by either sub or KO. Like he's a very, very good finisher. I think he's only got like 3 decisions across his entire career. But then he's also fighting against Yanal Ashmouz, another amazing prospect. He's got wins over Trevor Peek and Sam Patterson. Sam Patterson, we've seen, has been doing amazing since that fight too. We know Trevor Peek is and all that, so I can't really say that win's amazing. But they both got an 8-1 record, and his only loss, I think, was to Chris Duncan, who just fraud checked Jordan Vucenic, which is a great win. So this should be a really good fight. I think it'll be a really hard fight for both to win. Yanal will definitely be looking for the takedowns, looking for the control time. I don't know if you'll be able to get the sub off on Quillan Salkild, and I don't think that Quillan is going to get the time to KO him. So I think that this is going to be a close, close decision that I think Quillan will win. I think that a lot of it will be spent on the cage or on the floor, but pardon me, when I think they do get up, I reckon that Quillen will be able to land enough to win back the rounds. And yeah, I think that Yanel will have a good showing of himself, but it'll be just not enough for Quillen Salkill. Moving on though, we've got Jekka Saragi versus Ju Sang Yu. I did a little bit of research for this one. I watched two Ju Sang Yu fights. He's not an amazing prospect by any means, but he's definitely a better prospect than Saragi. Saragi has lost to Anshul Jubilee and Weston Wilson in his last 3 fights. He got finished by Anshul Jubilee as well, which is like literally not what you want if you're looking to bet on this guy. Uh, and based off that alone, I'm basically only basing it on if Anshul Jubilee can beat you, Ju Sang Yu can beat you. Ju Sang Yu, although, has not faced any good opponents. Like he's almost only fought journeymen. He's fought one or two people with a positive record, which is not a good sign when you're coming into the UFC. But Saragi is a bit more of a mid prospect, so I think I'll pick Ju Sang Yu with this one. Moving on, we've got Ariane Da Silva versus Wang Con. I got so confused and forgetting that Ariane Da Silva changed her name to Lipski. Um, Lipski likes fights on her feet, which doesn't help her against Wang Kong, who's a very, very good kickboxer. She's literally the top of the sport for WMMA striking. So I think this will be a tough fight for Ariane to win. I think the UFC did her no favors giving her this one, and they're doing all the favors for Wang Kong. We've seen Wang Kong has a weakness against good wrestlers, which we're not seeing her put up against. We're seeing her put it against someone in the rankings who's a striker. So it really shows you where the UFC want to put Wang Kong. But I think Kong doesn't have good takedown defense at all, but I don't think Ariane Lipski is going to actually attempt any takedowns. Sorry, by the way, I can't remember what her name was changed to, whether it was changed to Da Silva or to Lipski. But I don't really know if Lipski's going to go for any takedown attempts or Ariane's going to go for any takedown attempts, so I will pick Wang Kong to win like a 29-28 decision, maybe losing a round on the fence. Moving on, we have Chaos Williams. It says Uros Medic here. I would have picked Uros Medic to beat him by him just having better straight shots than Chaos has looping punches. Chaos basically only throws hooks and overhands. He sometimes looks like a world beater when he gets like a quick KO, and then you see the next fight, he just looks super scrappy. Andreas Gustafsson is the fighter that he's versing. He was supposed to be fighting this weekend, but then it's moved back. He was going to be fighting Trevin Giles. I did a little breakdown of that before the fight night. Um, Andreas is a good fighter. I think his fights are really fun. I don't know if the clinch work is going to really wear out Chaos Williams like it does some of the other opponents that Gustafsson faces, because he's a massive guy for the weight class, but so is Chaos. So this will be a fun fight. I think that there'll be a lot of clinching. It will probably be a very messy fight, but I think that since neither of these guys are really like good straight punchers, it's going to be whoever lands there looping overhand first. And I think that the way that Andreas Gustafsson likes to fight, he likes to be in his game. He likes to be against the fence. He wants to be on the floor. He doesn't want to be at range. And I think that he's going to be able to keep Chaos close to him, and I don't think that Chaos is going to be able to land those hooks because they're never tight. It's not like he's throwing an in close tight hook. He's always throwing a really looping hook. So I think Gustafsson will be able to catch him somewhere on the inside, maybe in round 2 or something like that. Both are really powerful guys, and anything can happen in this fight. Moving on though, oh sorry, I'll say my prediction. I'll say round 2 TKO for Andreas Gustafsson. Moving on, we've got Sergey Spivak versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. Um, I don't know if I'm the only one, but I'm so gassed that this is on this fight card. Like, I'm actually really excited for this fight. I think it will be really fun. Um, Waldo is somewhat a good heavyweight prospect, even though he's 34 and Spivak is a lot younger than him. I think he's 31 or 30. Um, but he's a very well-rounded fighter. He can blob on you. He can make it boring with some pitter-patter shots. He can sometimes KO you. Whereas Spivak isn't going to KO you. He's not going to win with pitter-patter shots. He's only going to get a sub. And Cortez Acosta has somewhat decent takedown defense, so I can kind of trust him to keep it on the feet with Spivak and beat him by a pitter-patter decision. Um, he sometimes wins via blobbing on people, but he's not going to try that against Spivak. Spivak's really good on bottom with his subs and sweeps. And I think that I don't like rate any of Spivak's takedowns, even though I think he's got a sambo background. I don't rate his takedown style. I think he would need some sort of like blast double leg on Waldo Cortez Acosta to get him down, maybe get him off balance, get those flabs moving. But yeah, I don't see this going well for Spivak. I reckon Cortez Acosta has got this one. And I think that the matchup itself is really well made. This is the perfect time to give Waldo Cortez Acosta the Spivak test. I think that this will show that he's top 7 level, and then he'll be able to get some of those top 5 fights after this. The other thing is about Spivak, he looked really good against Gelton Almeida, but Almeida is a grappler. Same thing with Marcin Tybura, he looked pretty good against Tybura. But Cortez Acosta, I don't think is going to give him the opportunity to look good. So I'm going to be picking Waldo via a somewhat boring decision. Next, we've got Azamat Murzakanov not versing Johnny Walker, it's versing Brenson Ribeiro. I'm not going to break down this fight too much because I literally prepared so much for the Walker versus Murzakanov fight. But I think the result's going to be much the same. I think Ribeiro probably has a little bit better of a chance of winning than Walker, as his chin's a bit more intact. He's less risk-taking. He's a bit cleaner with his striking. I don't think that Walker's a good clean striker. He has to make it crazy to beat you. But I think that Ribeiro is just, in the end of it, not going to have the same level of speed that Azamat Murzakanov has. He is so fast with his hands. His overhands are quick, his hooks are quick, his uppercuts quick, his jab is quick, his cross is quick. Like, everything that he does is quicker than Ribeiro. Footwork's good. I think he'll be able to stay out of the big shots of Ribeiro. Ribeiro is sometimes a bit sluggish, so I think that'll definitely help Murzakanov. And I think his boxing defense is really good, and I don't think Ribeiro is going to be able to crack him too much. I think Murzakanov will probably get a highlight reel finish in the second round via KO. Moving on, though, we've got Bruno Silva versus Joshua Van. This is probably the best matchup you could have got Joshua Van if you wanted him to win his next fight. Silva got TKO'd in his last fight via eye pokes from Manel Cap. He did go for like 7 shots to the nuts in the last fight. I think that those will be very well utilized against Joshua Van. In all seriousness, I think Silva's going to be shooting a bunch of bad takedowns. I think Van will be doing his heavy sprawl. He'll look good on the feet. He'll probably piece him up all 3 rounds. I just think Van's explosive takedown defense is going to be too much for Bruno Silva. People talk about Bruno Silva striking. He's only really got a couple of good KOs. He's not he's not as gritty as he at least used to be. And being 35 in flyweight, I've seen him slow down a little bit in his last few fights, and that's not going to work well against a quick guy like Joshua Van. Joshua Van's so much younger than him. I don't see his age here, but I think he's around 24. To Bruno Silva's 35, like I think that Van's brain is going to be working at a much quicker pace, and he's going to be able to put more on Bruno Silva within this fight. I think Bruno Silva probably won't get finished in this fight. So I'd pick it to be a 30-27 decision for Joshua Van. Moving on, we've got Vicente Luque versus Kevin Holland. I hate this matchup. I wish it was never made. I wish neither of these guys would fight. I don't like neither of them anymore. I used to like Luque, I used to like Holland, but now it's kind of just a bit sad watching both. Holland doesn't deserve a ranked opponent at welterweight. I don't know what they're thinking. Like a guy like Renat Fakhretdinov will have to win 7 more fights before getting a shot in the rankings. But Kevin Holland, who's had like 5 shots in the rankings, will get one after one win over a guy that didn't fight for 3 years. Like, it's just a disgusting matchup. I hate it. Please never do this again to me, UFC. Luque at the moment doesn't even look ranked level. I know he beat Themba Gorimbo in his last fight, but Themba Gorimbo I never thought was that good. Um, Luque has looked really bad in his last few fights. He's really slowed down. He's a lot more plotty. He always was a plotty guy, but he's even more plotty now. But I think that Luque, after watching him lose that brutally to Buckley, even though Holland's not Buckley, he has beaten Buckley, but he's not Buckley. I think that Holland's just going to be able to beat him up on the feet, maybe first round TKO. I think Luque's probably going to get hit a few times, shoot some bad takedowns. Holland can defend bad takedowns. You have to be really scared of Holland striking for him to be able to take you, for him to be able to avoid your takedowns. He's going to have to back Vicente Luque up. I think Vicente, after his brain hemorrhage, is literally naturally going to back up, knowing he's not going to be able to take the same damage he used to. It's just a bad fight. Give Renat Fakhretdinov, Vicente Luque, get him out the rankings. Don't give Kevin Holland the ranking spot. Like, I know Kevin Holland's going to win this fight, and it's going to be like, oh, Jeff Neal, round 2, let's do it. Or, oh my gosh, Joaquin Buckley, round 2, let's do it. And it's like, no, get him out of the rankings, get him out of the UFC. Don't get him out of the UFC, but we don't need him in the welterweight rankings right now. There are much better guys outside of the rankings. I would have preferred Chidi and Njokuani to get this chance. Like, it's just not a good fight. I would prefer both of these guys to fight an upcoming guy rather than fight each other. This isn't like an Aldo versus Cruz matchup where it's like, we need to have this one before these guys retire. No, we don't need to have this one. I think I could go my entire life without thinking of this matchup. 5 years ago, this was fun. Now it's not. I don't want it. Don't give me this, UFC. Please pull out the fight of Vicente Luque. Moving on, we've got Mario Bautista versus Patchy Mix. I like this a lot better than Vera versus Bautista. I thought that was just going to be like Vera spending the first 1.5 rounds getting warmed into the fight, and then Mario Bautista just pillages the sport by lying against the cage on him. But I think this will be a lot more fun. I think where this fight will be won is in the boxing exchanges. Although people talk about Patchy Mix as being this really good boxer, he's not. I'm literally lying. No one talks about him being a good boxer, but his hands are all right. He doesn't look like terrible on the feet. Bautista, given he sometimes has some good striking moments, but I would go out on a limb here and say I probably will pick Patchy Mix via unanimous decision. He's got top level grappling, beautiful front choke, slick subs. And I think that he's just sort of going to be able to wear on Bautista as the fight goes on. And the things that Bautista reverts to when he's struggling in a fight is grappling. So he's going to know that he's going to have to keep it standing. And I don't think he's an amazing standing. And I think Patchy Mix is good enough standing to where I see him sort of like a Gamrot. I know Gamrot fought just yesterday, so it'll be good reference as he's fresh in your mind. He doesn't look good on the feet, but he does enough on the feet to get to his takedowns. And I think that Bautista will be so worried about his getting taken down that he's going to look bad on the feet. And then when he starts to get hit by Mitt Patchy, he's just going to end up getting taken down. I think he's going to get controlled but not subbed. I think that Patchy will probably do a lot more active work in the clinch on the ground. If you remember Bautista's fight against Aldo, I'm sure everyone does. Bautista, although he was in the clinch a lot, he's not active in the clinch. And I think Patchy will bring him to the clinch because he sees that Mario wants to be there and he knows that that's where Patchy needs to be. I think he'll bring Bautista to the clinch a lot, and I think he'll outstrike him in the clinch. He'll try and take him down. He'll get to the body lock. He'll hold him. He'll knee him to the thigh. Like, I think it'll be just like a an odd performance where we look at Bautista and be like, oh, he sucks after. But in reality, it was just a difficult stylistic matchup for Mario Bautista. So I'm picking unanimous decision 29-28 to Patchy Mix. Moving on, we've got Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer. You know what's really funny is that out of all of these photos, Gastelum is the only person standing like flat to the camera, so he just looks gigantic. He looks like DC right now, but this fight is a rebooking from the Mexico Fight Night. Gastelum has moved back up to middleweight. I don't mind Gastelum at middleweight. I prefer him to him at welterweight. He never looks fast enough for welterweight, and he always looks like a slick, like quick boxer at middleweight. But I don't think he's a middleweight fighter against Pyfer. I think Pyfer's going to make him look like a welterweight, and I think he's going to feel like a welterweight against Pyfer. Pyfer's a strong, strong guy. Um, I think Pyfer's got a really, really easy path to victory as well in this one. I think he needs to smack him with some body shots, hit that tubby belly a little bit, get his hands down, then start hitting him up top, bring his hands back up, and then just shoot. Shoot for a... He's got a good blast double as well, Joe Pyfer does. And training with Sean Brady, who's already smoked Gastelum. I think he's going to go for similar game plan, more striking though. But then on the ground, once he sticks him there, he's going to look to be heavy on top and go for some sort of bully submission, like a Kimura, arm triangle, something like that. Similar to what, like a very similar game plan to what Sean Brady had against him. I think that he hits like a truck. I know Gastelum will be able to take those shots. He's got the Mexican blood in him. He won't get TKO'd by these shots. But a lot of these guys that have these amazing chins, they have a weak body. And Pyfer, seriously, like watch some of his fights. He's had some disgusting looking body shots. Like he hits with leather. He knows that he can TKO someone with a body shot, so he goes for it each time. I think as long as Pyfer doesn't overthrow himself and loses all of his cardio, I think he could break Kelvin Gastelum as the fight goes on. Maybe Kelvin gets put into like a arm triangle and then escapes the arm triangle, gives up, lifts his neck up, gets subbed, rear naked choke. I could definitely see that. Does anyone else think that Pyfer's striking kind of looks like Chuck Liddell as well? I was rewatching some of his fights the other day, and he actually throws somewhat similar to Chuck Liddell without the chin being stuck out. So I think that he's just going to be able to mash him against the fence, beat him to a pulp, and then just sub him. I reckon late second round, maybe rear naked choke or arm triangle. Moving on, we've got Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison. This is probably like the best or second best WMMA fight that could be put on right now. Like I would say better would be Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili. I would love to see that fight, but this is a really fun matchup. Juliana Pena is talking a lot of shit. It's good matchup. They're doing a little bit of promotion for this one, which is unheard of. And to be honest, I don't really see that many people picking Juliana Pena. And so many people are literally being like, oh, Kayla Harrison by whatever she wants. I know that Juliana Pena doesn't look that amazing when she's striking, and she doesn't seem to have like a path to victory on the ground against Kayla Harrison. But I think that this is going to be like some sort of robbery decision for Pena. Not necessarily robbery, but close. I think first round, she'll get smoked in the first round. I think if Kayla Harrison doesn't finish her in the first round, I won't pick her. But I think in the first round, she's going to be taken down instantly. She's going to try really hard to get up, though. And Kayla Harrison's going to expend a bit of energy keeping her down, and then we'll move on to round two. It'll look a little bit the same. I think Pena might get up in round two. And then as soon as we see her get up, Harrison's going to look a lot more tired. If you watch any of Harrison's fights, but second and third round, especially now that she's in bantamweight. When she was in featherweight, not so much, but bantamweight, she loses her cardio very quickly. Like, if you look in the Ketlin Vieira fight, I thought she was quite tired in the second round there. And I don't think that someone like Juliana Pena, who's literally an energizer bunny, is going to be able to fall for that. And I think 2 rounds in, she's going to focus less on winning the rounds in round 1 and 2, but she's going to look to tire her out. She works with Bilal. I think she'll be able to do that. Everyone talks about Kayla Harrison's all of her credentials and crazy this and crazy that. I know it's not wrestling, it's judo, it's a little bit different, but I don't see it being that dominant compared to like. I don't see any of these guys with their credentials, guys or girls, with their credentials really popping off. Like we literally saw it with the Zhang Weili fight versus Tatiana Suarez. I know that Juliana Pena doesn't have the elite takedown defense that Zhang Weili does, but I think that she's an elite level athlete that can put together the takedown defense by round 3, 4, and 5. Um, Harrison's massive. The weight cut's different for her than it is a lot of the other women. Um, and you can tell that her gas tank is not as good now that she's cutting down to 135. And 145, you could see her still looking decently strong in the later rounds. Now it's not at all. Um, and she has to cut this extra pound to make championship weight. People might not think that's a lot, but that will make a difference. I think that that could be even like an extra minute of cardio that she won't have. Um, this is 5 rounds though, so she could pull off a sub at some point in the night. It could be like a fourth round sub, but I really don't see her being able to get the squeeze off her. And I think Juliana Pena, just being an Energizer Bunny, is just going to be able to outwork her in round 3, 4, and 5. She's a massive underdog. I could be completely wrong on this, but I do think Juliana Pena's got a better chance than people think to win this, because the main reason why people pick against her is because she has amateur looking striking, but so does Kayla Harrison. And I think Kayla Harrison actually has worse striking. I think she's got not less power, but she doesn't have that much power in her shots. And I think that you need power in your shots to deter a Juliana Pena from just running straight at you. So I think I'm going to pick Juliana Pena via decision, winning rounds 3, 4, and 5. Maybe one judge gives it to Kayla Harrison in the third. I think Kayla will look pretty tired in the third, fourth, and fifth, and that's probably what's going to give her the decision. Not saying the fight's going to look like it, but I think body language wise, it'll look like Merab versus Umar, where although the fight's somewhat close, Umar being the Kayla Harrison in this situation. I think Kayla's just going to look so gassed, and Juliana Pena is just going to cardio mog her. Moving on though, we've got the main event of the evening: Merab Dvalishvili versus Sean O'Malley. When this fight first came out, I was thinking 100% Merab is just going to win better than he won the first fight. But upon doing a little bit further research and just thinking about the fight a little bit more, I don't know if it'll go that way. First fight was more competitive than I remember. I remember watching it and thinking, oh my god, Merab won 4-1. But I think it was a close 3-2. Round 1 was actually close. I would still give it to Merab. I think Sean won round 3 and 5. Clearly 5. 3 was debatable. But if he did one or two more different things in round 1, he's winning that fight. A lot of the takedowns that Merab was able to get was ducking under the 1-2 or the 2. And I think that Sean O'Malley's just going to make the adjustment. You saw it in the first fight. He was digging to the body with the 2 to the body, but he would throw it naked. There wouldn't be a jab behind it. I think he's going to jab and then go to the body so he can't get ducked up on. And I think after hurting Merab in the 5th round with a body shot, I think he's going to be targeting that midsection a lot more this fight. I think he's going to be going for those teeps to the body that he didn't use until the 5th. And I think he's going to be hitting that 2 to the body a lot more in combination, not just as a naked pot shot. He did really like that shot, and it did hit a lot of times doing that 2 to the body as a pop shot, and I think he should keep that. But I think in combination, Merab is going to be so used to Sean, watching Sean and feeling even Sean do that straight, that jab and then straight coming straight after it. Like he fires them like 1-2. They're coming literally almost, it feels like they're coming together. And that's how Merab is able to duck under and get that shot. But if Sean O'Malley can focus on just digging to that body in the second shot and then even going jab to the body and then right to the body straight after, I think that he'll have a lot of success with that. I think that he's quite a blocky guy. He's got a big waist to hit. I think that could really bode well for him. And we saw he was barely kicking. Sean O'Malley was barely kicking in the first fight. That front kick, he's got a really quick front kick and he pulls it back nice and quickly. If he can get used to doing that on Merab, I think he'll start hurting him to the body. And that will sap the cardio of Merab as well. We saw in their last fight, Sean, some people will disagree with me in this one, Sean looked less tired at the end of the fight. In the 4th round, Sean looked more tired, but then he recovers really well in between rounds. Like you saw with the heart rate monitor, Sean was beating him on that each time. That doesn't necessarily mean he was less tired, but he did look less tired. And being able to hurt Merab in that last round shows that he was less tired. It is hard to pick Sean though, knowing that he's going to get on the floor, knowing that Merab's going to take him down. Because anytime he's ever got taken down, he has this look on his face like, "Ugh, not again." He hates being on the ground. He hates being on his back, and he hates standing up. I think he knows that it takes a lot of his energy and saps a lot of his power. So that could be he could definitely have that same sort of look as soon as he gets taken down, just losing the round. But I think he's going to scramble a little bit more in this one. Um, I also think another thing boding well for Merab is the style that he used to fight against Sean O'Malley the first time, where the first 3 minutes he's basically just dancing around at the end of the cage, like herky jerky movement out of range. He's just not engaging at all, and then waiting for Sean O'Malley to throw that too, so then he can duck under. Watch it, almost every round he's doing that. He's waiting for him to throw that too and duck under. So if Sean O'Malley can change that, then that first 3 minutes, he's winning that first 3 minutes. Throw an extra two front kicks to the body and an extra two to the body, and don't throw that two going straight over. Maybe throw an uppercut instead, fake the two and throw an uppercut. Like, there are lots of things that Sean O'Malley can do in this matchup to change it and change the result. Um, when people look at this matchup, they think that Merab will be able to do something different and do things better than they did in the first fight against Sean O'Malley. But I've always heard a lot of people talk about if you can't do something better than you did in the first fight in a rematch, it's a lot harder to win. So when I say that, like, I'm saying like you win a close decision the first time, the second time you have an option to win by sub or KO. Like, but it's when you've won the best way that you can win, which for Marabi only wins by decision. To win that second time by decision and show the exact same things is a lot more difficult. I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever. But another thing with this matchup is that he's sort of just giving Sean more time to find that chin. I think Sean's style bodes well for that. Some of these other guys, like Peter Yan, I wouldn't say is the same way. Like, he's not a guy that eventually finds your chin after two fights. I don't see Peter Yan starting faster in the first and second. I think he'll have much the same sort of attempt at that. But Sean O'Malley being a sharpshooter and finding specific shots, I think he will actually find more success in this fight with that. And I think just giving him the more time to find the chin to hurt and rock Merab, it just makes it so that Merab has to be perfect for double the amount of time, whereas Sean just has to land that one shot. Even though Merab still only has to land that one shot, we don't see it that often. We don't see him do that. So it's not like we look at this matchup and say, oh, we're giving Merab another 25 minutes to find the chin of Sean O'Malley. No, no one ever said that. So he's giving O'Malley more time as the sharpshooter to find his chin and just take him out. Um, the other thing about this matchup, I spoke about this in a video I did about a week ago, but I think Merab is doing sort of what Bilal did against JDM, where he was saying, oh, I got hands like Canelo, I can strike with this guy for 25 minutes. Merab keeps like self-affirmating that he's going to strike against Sean O'Malley. He's going to try his striking. He's not going to shoot his takedowns. He keeps saying that Sean O'Malley's going to defend all his takedowns, which is not what he wants to be saying, because it almost tricks your brain into actually happening. Um, and if he tries to strike with Sean O'Malley, we've seen how mid-level his striking looks, especially if he's not shooting as much. His best shot is that right hand over the top as he fakes a single leg with the left. If he's not doing that, he's getting caught. So talking about all of this, like Bilal even admitted it on his most recent episode of he does the podcast with John Anik's brother, and he kept saying how almost but through saying it so much, he just adopted the game plan. He told himself it was going to happen. He told himself he had such elite striking that your brain just does it. Like, in the fight, it's such a position where your brain just uses all of its instincts. And if you've been telling it and changing and rewiring your instincts to strike, it will happen within that fight. Another thing is that injury to the toe. He's not going to be able to turn on his takedowns as much. He's not going to be able to push through on his takedowns through that foot, and he likes to work on the fence. If I'm Sean O'Malley, I don't care what foot it is. I'm stomping foot stomps against the fence. I know that opens up a foot sweep or a trip for Merab, but doing anything, he's got a broken toe. If he can do anything to screw with that foot, and just knowing that that's there is just such a big difference. Like, I did harp on in the first fight how Merab broadcasted that cut that he got, but that's a little bit of a different injury. You're targeting that eye anyway when you're punching. You're not targeting that foot, are you? Like, you only see a handful of fighters actually go for foot stomps. So if Sean O'Malley's just given another strike to hit, and especially one in the clinch, I think it does nothing but benefit him. Imagine if when he's defending these takedowns, he just looks down, sees his black ass toe, stomps on it once, and he can just get that 1 millisecond of separation from Merab. Like, I know that that's such an unreasonable thing to pretend that will actually happen, But it is just opening up an extra strike. Like in the well, as I say with that cut, it wasn't opening up anything new. Like any sort of scar tissue would have the same sort of effect. But this is something that you can actively target, and it might actually help. Like if his toe looks broken, it very much so looks broken. So if he can do anything to that toe, he might get him out of there. Um, I obviously don't think get him out of there as in Merab's going to flop to the floor holding his toe as a TKO toe injury, but I think that he could make Merab start second guessing, make the toe a bit more painful, because you need the toe for balance. You need it for all of your takedowns to push on a specific side, whatever the side that foot is. You're not going to be able to push that side as much. So anything that he can do to hinder Merab's performance, and he'll know which toe it's on coming in. So like, it sounds so unreasonable to say all of this knowing it's just a toe, but it does make a difference. And I think just all of this chat that Merab's had, this is sort of a different Merab than we usually see. I think he's a lot more confident usually, and he's a lot more within his skill set. Like he doesn't really talk about his striking as much. He talks about it a little bit, but he's not like this time where he keeps repeating that he's gonna try his striking on him. And at 34, 35 years old, his striking is not getting better now. If it would have got better, it would have got better a decade ago. It didn't. So it's not the time to be trying the striking now. So I am going to be picking Sean O'Malley by like a 48-47 decision, dropping Merab once or twice. I thought about picking him by TKO KO, but I think Merab's probably one of the hardest guys to TKO out there. He's got really big movements, really good movements. He's hard to hit. It's going to be a tough one for Sean, but I think I don't know why. I could look really stupid. And I was one of the people picking Merab in the first fight. I thought Sean O'Malley was underestimating him in that fight, and I thought that he was just going to not be able to defend the takedowns and look defeated, which is what happened. But I think in this fight, I think anything is pointing towards a Sean win for this, even though people are saying it's much worse. So thanks, guys, for watching. Let me know what you think of my picks below. Let me know if there's any sort of videos you would like over this week. Yeah, like, subscribe, leave a comment. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.